Hey guys, this is National Master Kevin Yang back at it with another video. So this game is against 23 Dragons. So this is another one of those familiar opponents that we play. Let's get to it. E4, G6, D4, Bishop G7. So I like to bring out this weapon a lot. I'm pretty sure if you've seen most of my other videos, you'll recognize that this is the modern defense. Knight f3, d6. I'm not trying to do anything in the center right away. Bishop c4, c6, c3, knight f6. I'm just doing my job. And here I can play d5. So this is the right time to break. And I'm thinking after take here, I can even play the move bishop to f5 and deliver this bishop with a tempo. If queen b3 happens, I'll take on d5. If you take on b7, well, I mean, for one, I could play d takes c4, queen takes a8, maybe queen to b6, followed by bishop to e4. I don't know. But there's d5 and then there's bishop d3, followed by maybe knight to e4. But it gets sort of tricky. I would say that I like black's position, but it's hard to evaluate. So in the game, our friend 23 Dragons played the move e5, and frankly, I was a little bit surprised. I took the bishop, bishop takes. Now, at this point, I remember instinctively playing bishop takes f6. However, there is one drawback to bishop takes f6. If pawn takes f6, this knight can no longer come to e5, and sometimes that's a very good idea of white's to bring the knight to e5. So I kind of regret this bishop takes f6 capture a little bit because this pawn, by protecting e5, does a big job in restricting white from being able to get more space. So that's something to keep in mind for me, just in terms of thinking about which piece to capture with, right? So at this point, I said, take, bishop f5, or take, e5, and try to discover on this knight. So what did I do? I played neither. I played bishop to f5. I said, let's go with development. Queen to c1, bring the knight out. Bishop h6, rook out. h3, and now e5. I'm going for the break. I'm going for it. But now g4, and I would say this is a little bit too much. A little bit. It's just a little bit too much. Overextending white's position. I know it's very tempting to try to budge this bishop out. However, at this, how do I say? It's like it was the cost was too expensive, to come out and play this g4 move. Like, the weakening of the king, the opening of the king space, just it gives room for chaos, and you'll see why. So after bishop d3, rook to e1, I take on d4. Knight takes d4, I play c5. Now at this moment, I think I was in, I might have been in time pressure, maybe not. I don't remember. It was a simul. I don't really remember what time I have, but all I thought is, what if I tried to get through to black's position, or in some way try to get through here? So I tried. c5, my first step. Rook takes, queen takes, g5. Ooh, another overextension. I said I'm going to keep my bishop. I like my bishop. Knight to c2, but now knight to e5. I'm coming into the camp. Knight d3, knight to f3, king g2, bring the queen in. All of a sudden, I have so many pieces on our friend 23 Dragons' side, and our friend resigns. So, what really led me to win this game? Well, it was short, but there's so much we can still learn from it. This opening part now, at this moment, we have we have to first see that both pieces are attacked. Now, when we look at the move e5, the only problem is that white gives up a pawn for the knight, but black gets to keep that pawn. So here, I should have taken with the pawn, but in addition to that, I just would like to say, the capture is sometimes it's very critical. Sometimes the piece you use to capture something will make a big difference. And although in this case it didn't make too big of a difference, it made an impact as to what kind of gameplay was available. Like in the game, you saw that our friend 23Dragons played the move bishop to g5, but it would have been avoided if we had the pawn takes on f6. So it's those small things, the small things that can really change the atmosphere of the game. e5, but I kind of felt like the loser of the game here had to be g4. It weakened White's camp. You saw that later on the knight went to f3, right? The queen came to e4. It was all because I got the interest from the weakening of these pawns. And this weakened pawn structure allowed me, motivated me to try to get something on the king side done. And that's what I did. Bishop to d3, and I said, I'm going to try to get my pieces out, but at the same time, g5 was another one of those unnecessary, very aggressive moves. It did its purpose in threatening the bishop, but sometimes remember that you might be overextending. So in this case, g5 is way too much an overextension. Number one, it seals off the bishop. It seals off the bishop's entire role. Number two, it's a little bit aggressive because this knight is still under attack. And number three, well, weaken some squares. So knight to f3, queen to e4, and I got the dub. Wasn't easy at all, but I have to say, 23Dragons pushed hard in this game. I mean, I have to say, this was a game where I won because maybe 23Dragons' ambition was maybe a little bit too high for a chess game. Like every one of my threats, he met with a counterattack, and it didn't go quite well. But sometimes it is the right thing to do. Just in this case, it wasn't exactly the right thing to do. But it was worth it trying to explore 23Dragons' curiosity, willing to find new ways to try to play the game and try to find ways to win. And I mean, 23Dragons did all 23Dragons could to be able to try to win the game or at least attempt to find a solution to such an ordeal. So there were a lot of critical moments in there, but regardless, it's important to learn from your mistakes and have fun and find your curiosity. Those tips are going to get you a long way. They've gotten me a long way, they'll get you a long way. So thank you, and I will see you next time.